Hello everybody, welcome to Cartridge Quarters episode I don't know because I didn't think to check ahead of time, but hey, you know what it is because it's in the title of this podcast. That's the important part. But thank you for joining us. My name is Adam, aka CS Radical. Jin and Chris, aka, well, I guess Chris, is here with me. How you doing today? Chris.
I'm doing good. It's getting nice and summery outside, you know? And every console and PC and everything has decided to have a summer sale start today. So I'm great. I'm overwhelmed and my wallet is crying. I haven't bought anything yet, but it's gonna happen.
Oh, I'm sure by the time that those sales are all over, we're gonna hear, a sob story about how you've gone back in rehab because Gabe drained you again.
Stupid magic Gaben. I already know one thing I'm getting, and it is actually retro, so I guess it kind of makes sense. I'm gonna pick up the Command & Conquer. I guess it's a remastered collection or something like that, but it's all the old 90s Command & Conquer.
Like the red alerts?
Yeah, red alerts.
So you're going to get some Tim Curry space action?
Yes.
Or sorry. Some Tim Curry space action.
Yeah. Do it right. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely be going through all the red alert ones. I've never played any of the other ones. I think I
played the original, but I don't recall if I did any more beyond that.
Yeah. The red alert ones were fun because they were like a little bit more ridiculous. You could set up Tesla coils around your base and they would zap people as they got
they were kind of the closest thing to like a Saints Row like RTS game, you know?
Yeah. So it was like, oh no, World War against the Russians, but they're going to space. What the hell's happening? Like, yeah, it was fun. So
Tim Curry was perfect for that. They really did to cast him perfectly.
They did. Oh, actually, there's a lot of just random famous people that showed up in those games. It was like, wow, what, why?
Yeah, absolutely.
But good for me and all of us.
Well, before that, I want to drop a piece of news before we get into anything. I had this piece of news on Tuesday, but I felt it'd be more apropos to do it when Chris is here because it will actually make him much more angry.
Oh, great.
So, those who don't know, Chris obviously knows very, very well, but there is a charity speedrunning event called Games Done Quick. And they usually do a bunch of shows now on their Twitch channel that's called The Hot Fix. They have a bunch of different shows, but I will be not featured as a racer, but I will be commentating on the July 11th edition of Awfully Silly, which it's not a retro game, but a friend of mine in the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise community, Asuka424, is going to be running a game called The Quiet Man, which is a notoriously terrible Square Enix sort of like AMV, like beat-em-up game from 2018 that was noted as one of the worst games from that year, if not the worst.
Yeah.
And it's even better because I know nothing about it. So literally I was told, hey, you want to commentate this thing? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what the game is. Good. That's probably for the best. So
that is fantastic.
The guy who really, really likes GDQ is very upset because I'm on there before him.
I am so pissed at you, actually. So very pissed. I've been looking forward to SGDQ. And it's funny because as you were getting into the speedrunning community, I'm like, dude, you are one step closer to getting into SGDQ. I'm going to be on the couch. This is going to be great. And then you're slowly getting there and I'm not. And I'm like, what the hell? Like,
well, clearly you got to start going fast.
I do. I am very slow at games. I beat them quickly, but it's normally just to get the achievements and move on.
Or if you have a bet that you need to get.
Or a bet. Yes, absolutely. That's awesome, though. I am quite jealous.
It's going to be a lot of fun, but it's also going to be really nerve-wracking because I guess it's the idea that I'm commentating on something that I know nothing about, but I guess that might also be a thing in my favor because how do you be nervous about something that you know you're not going to have to worry about being inquisitive about?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm basically going to be playing like a play-by-play wrestling commentator, just being like, my God, what the hell is happening here? That man had a family.
It'll be good because I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be in my GDQ shirt, drinking from my GDQ mug, having coffee. I'd say GDQ coffee, but I don't think, oh my God, if they do, I have to look into this. But
that would be a very smart thing to do if they had branded coffee.
Yeah, because it's all like
you got to wake up fast.
Yeah, exactly, right? And it's trying to get away from like energy drinks and stuff to something more natural. And
oh no, healthier. Chris, I have the perfect name for a GDQ coffee.
What?
Morning percent.
Oh, that is good. Somebody from GDQ, this guy, he patented it.
Shit, I better trademark that before it's too late.
Yeah, trademark it, man. Get in there real quick. Just go to the patents office.
That's
probably down the
work.
Street. Yeah, that is work. And then you've got to actually make the product to make money.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a lot of work. But you know what isn't work? Video games, mostly. Depends. I might be playing Demon Souls some point, and that is definitely going to be work if I get to that point. So,
That is 100% work.
but
That is a lot.
I did play something that I guess technically isn't retro, but might as well be. I finished Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge, and Jesus Christ, it's probably the best game I've ever played in that series.
Yeah, I also finished TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Yeah, I couldn't stop. I couldn't. I think I've beaten it like actually there's an achievement to see all the endings. I beat it with every character. But
Yeah,
it was just
I've
replaying
only
the
beat it
final level.
once for now because I think I don't want to necessarily keep playing it over and over again alone. I think I'd rather get into a big group. So,
Yeah, oh, 100%.
but I have Casey Jones now, so I'm happy.
Yeah, same. Yeah. There's an achievement where you play as Casey Jones and Raphael, and you two high five by pressing like left bumper, and that's an achievement. And it's like friends again or something, because in the movies and the comics and the shows,
Yeah, they
they're
hate each
always
other.
butting head. Yeah, so it's like getting them to high five is big enough to actually have an achievement in the game for. I
Is
loved that game.
is there at least an achievement for when you do your first like aerial attack with Casey Jones that is called 2 minutes for high sticking?
No, that would have been good. They have some fun achievements in there.
They
They have
do.
some fun ones. Yeah, like beating the Rat King as Splinter. The rat
That
beats the
boss was
king.
a bitch too.
That boss was a bitch.
So I
Yeah,
mean, well,
but
fuck, because we don't really have that much to talk about. So let's just rail on about this for a while. Obviously, I did a untimely review on the Pixel Play show on Wednesday, but this is now a different show, so we're allowed to completely act like nothing ever happened, wipe the slate clean, and just go right back to it being nothing. But I said it in that review there, like I went into that game hoping for Turtles in Time esque, and I went out being like, Turtles in Time is Shredder's Revenge esque.
yeah,
Like it took
yeah,
everything about Turtles in Time and made it better.
it did. It took concepts from basically every one of those TMNT games, combined them all into one game. Modern, but still like so not modern, like retro, obviously. Not just in graphics, I mean in play style, just everything. And it was even just the names of some of the levels. Like the second level is called like the Big Apple 2 p.m. or
Yep.
whatever. And in the I think it was TMNT 4. It was like the Big Apple 2 a.m. was the name of the first stage. So they even just took the names of some of the stages and like redid it in but slightly different just for that nostalgic little plug, you know?
Well, and even little things too, like some of the enemies were carried over. You had the one boss where you had to throw the enemies into the screen to
Yes.
create the damage point. So like there was a lot of things in that really felt like it was a callback to the great like old school games. And then on top of that, the amount of lore that they pulled from to the point that I don't recognize like half of what's in this game
Oh yeah,
tells you
same. Some
like
of
there you knew there was a lot of comic referencing in there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, some of those enemies, like especially the bosses, I was like, "Who are you?" Like, obviously, it was an episode from the old cartoon or the comics or something, and I like want to do a deep dive and just go and start searching all of this and getting back into Turtles, which is crazy.
Yeah, because you got your like Bebop and Rocksteady, you got your Krang, you got your Shredder, but like there were a few like off-ball ones that I'm like I've never heard of you before. Like there was the one like Ghost Girl thing that came out of that arcade machine. I can't think of her name right now.
Yeah,
Like that was a fucking cool boss fight.
the Dame of the Game or something. Her
Yeah,
name
something like
was.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She was named after some arcade, so I assume in one of the comics or something or the cartoon, she was pulled out of maybe an arcade or something. Like they brought a virtual character to life. I don't know.
Who knows? But like that's it's something like that that makes me go, wow, I want to research this more now because I'm not the biggest like Ninja Turtle fan in terms of how deep I know the lore. I mean, I grew up watching that as a kid, but you know, I wasn't like super deep into say the way that I am with say like I don't know like early stage of Pokemon or things like
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z or things like that. But like it was similar to say how like you know I was with Power Rangers, where basically like you remember like what you saw from the first series, and after that it's all muddy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I remember some stuff from the old cartoon and then that was it. Like I don't there wasn't much after that. That and the first couple movies, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't remember even much from the two live action movies they did. I'm not counting the Michael Bay ones, not those ones. We're talking
No,
retro
nothing.
shows, so we don't talk
Yeah.
about the Michael Bay ones.
Yeah. Also, even if it wasn't a retro show, you don't talk about the Michael Bay
That
ones.
is true. I mean, apart from the fact that WWE wrestler Sheamus was, I believe, he was one of Bebop or Rocksteady. I just can't remember which one, which was
Oh,
an
was it?
interesting choice.
I did not know that because I did not look much into those movies.
Well, I didn't watch the movie either, so
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, just such a good game. And the funny part is they have that like retro collection coming out, the Cowabunga collection.
Yeah.
I was like kind of hyped for that, but now I'm like actually really hyped for that because I just want to get a bit more into this and
Yeah,
like
it was almost smarter this way to do the new one first to get people like, oh my god, this is like the best version of it now. I can't wait to see what it was like and kind of compare it to the older games.
oh yeah,
Now
for
people are
sure.
gonna play the original NES one and be like, why is this so fucking hard?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God the only thing they really pulled from that was the like world map idea for this game instead of anything else.
Yeah.
Because a game was insane. It was stupid hard.
But
Yeah.
man, I really like I can't understate like how much I actually enjoyed this game because like the music is spot on to what it used to be. The combat is so fluent. I mean, there are enemies that can be a little bit annoying, but that's a beat 'em up game, a side
That's a
scroller.
beat
It's
'em.
always going to be
It's
like
supposed to
that.
be like that, yeah.
You had your hoverboard levels that were fantastic.
Hmm.
Even like well with the music too. The two Shredder boss battle themes were fucking amazing.
Yeah, those were crazy good. I
Like, well, which
love
one
them.
would you take for over the other? The hip hop one in 15 or the metal one in 16?
Probably the hip hop one.
I would agree.
Yeah, just I don't know. It was
Like it
just like
felt badass in that fight.
it felt so badass. And maybe it's because it was also the first one, like it was the normal music before, and then all of a sudden this like hip hop song starts and you're like, what is happening? I'm so into it.
But I will say the first of two boss fights in the final chapter is probably my favorite fight in the entire game, and it's such a well designed boss battle.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so cool. Absolutely so cool.
And if you guys are like, well, what is it? Play the game. It's on Game
Yeah.
Pass. Come on.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It's everywhere. You can play it on any system that's an actual console or PC. Go play it.
Like, Caitlin even asked me on Wednesday, would it be worth it if you're paying full price for it? I said, well, honestly, if you got a group to play with, it's guaranteed. If you're
Yeah.
just playing solo, you could probably wait for 20, I guess. I mean, it's 10% off on Steam right now.
Yeah, and in Canadian at least, it starts at like 26 or $28, so it's not even expensive.
No, it's not terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to pay full price for any game, which is weird because it's like you see it at its full price. It's like I will always want it at least like 25% off. Then I feel like I'm not getting ripped off. But I honestly think this game is worth the 20 something
If
dollars, no
you're
matter
going to
which
have
way you
like
spin it.
replay value to it, yeah, I think so. Because
Oh,
I
for
mean, you're
sure.
looking at 16 levels. They usually range between I don't know, like 6 to 10 minutes, depending on how you're doing. So
Yeah.
you're looking at what if we do the math? Yeah, about like 3 hours ish for a run.
Yeah, I actually beat it at my brother-in-law's house last Friday. I went over because I was like, turtles are out. I know he loves it, and we had a friend and my sister as well that were obviously there. We just hopped into the four-player mode and played through the game beginning to end nonstop.
You were incorrect. It's 6 player.
Yeah, so we did four, and we could have still had two more people join.
That's the
Like,
thing that I can't wait to do because I know a bunch of people in the Final Fantasy IV community that I'm with. A bunch of them have been playing it and they really want to go in deep into that. I cannot imagine the pure chaos of 6 people flailing across the screen is going to be.
even just playing with four, there was points. I was smart because everybody else was a turtle. I'm like, I'm being Splinter, so I can see where the hell I am on the screen.
Mhm.
And even then, there was times I was like, wait, where am I? What's happening? Like, it was just nonsense. Everybody activated their special attack at the exact same time once, and it was just a screen of nonsense. And all of a sudden, everything was clear, and it was like, all right, let's keep going because we have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm loving on watching the video footage on screen. I still love that the revives are you just holding a piece of pizza out to the
Yeah.
player.
Walked in the pizza and stuff. It's like, come on, man, you can do this. Get up. Yeah, like it's so like
But
it's
wait,
good
what
for
if there's
kids.
anchovies on it?
No, no, there won't be anchovies on it. Come on, man. They're not gonna screw that up. They're the turtles. Although, wouldn't a turtle eat an anchovy? Probably.
Well, with it from the movie, I think it was Michelangelo that said specifically no anchovies.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. The references, the music, the colors, the pixel art, the six-playerness. It's also like hop in. Like you can be in the middle of a thing and just go like, here, grab a party,
Yeah, I
and
think
boom,
even random people can just drop in. Like, it's not even
yeah,
people that you invited. I mean, people can just randomly join your lobby if it's open.
yeah. As long as you open it, it's yeah. You like you could
Now,
easily go and just do a six-player run with randoms, and it's like other games. Communication's really key. In this game, not really. You know what I mean?
keep bashing X. Just keep
Yeah,
attacking.
punch the things, and I'm sure everybody playing knows how to do it. So you could join. I'd join this game with like 5 random people and play through it. Why the hell not? It'd be fun.
Now it's still a bit of a dicey thing right now because the crossplay isn't compatible everywhere. PlayStation, Nintendo don't get anything. Steam and Xbox, or PC and Xbox, I should say. But apparently, it's a little bit rough still. So like that's things that they're going to
Yes.
work on. But I imagine within like a month or so, it's going to be a little bit
Oh yeah.
better. So this is the kind of game that like, I mean, we have a group of friends that we play a bunch of different games with. This is a great one to add to our list of things that we can pull from. So
Yeah, especially with the 6 people. If we have 6 people show up to a games night, it's like crap. What do we do? We only
yeah,
have a couple games we can play, and this is
nowadays,
great to have it.
yeah, it's slowly collecting a list. Like we're starting to get to a point that everybody's realizing like, hey, it used to be that it's hard to get 4 people together. Now that we can just all play online and be in a Discord, it's so much easier to get like bigger games together. So
Yeah, yeah, we can get up to about 8 people, I think, at this point in our group at least, and that's not including just anybody else deciding like from your community for your speed running and all that, like coming to like, oh hey, can I
well, we
hop in?
pulled Kevin from oh my god, the Xbox
Oh,
podcast that I'm forgetting, and
yeah,
I'm blanking right now. Project X Talk.
project,
There we go.
yeah, yeah,
So like we've pulled him in for stuff. Like
yeah.
it's great now that we're getting to a point with a lot of games that it's not just like 3 or 4. I mean, it still is like that for a lot of it. Man, I really wish Destiny would upgrade the amount of people you could have in per party. 3 is such a weird number.
Yeah, it is. I don't. There's a lot of games that go with that 3. I don't know if it's supposed to be like some sort of a plan because like when you play as 3, it's like not like it's not. You don't feel alone enough. Like it's just 2, but like you feel special because there's only 3 of you. It's not like a group of 8. I don't know. There's got to be a reasoning behind it. It's probably just development. It's just
Well,
it's easier than 4.
it's also strange in general because it's always been an even number for consoles, right? Because it's either been 2 or 4. It's never like it's been, it's not like there's ever been a console where you can only plug in 3 controllers. So like the
Yeah.
fact that 3 has been a thing is a very recent thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's weird.
Because like again, if you grew up in the old days, you had like your Super Nintendo with 2 controllers, or you had you upgrade to when you get into N64, you can start getting into 4. And even I think PS2, you had the multi pass, so you could do. I think was it more than 4, or was it just 4 for that? Because it was only 2
I
with
think
the
it was.
original console.
I think it was 4.
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
could
and I
get two
and
more
PS
slots.
yeah, PS1 and Super Nintendo also had that same multi-tap or
Oh,
whatever it was
did they?
called
I don't
for.
remember that.
It's because there wasn't definitely on Super Nintendo especially and PS1 I guess there just wasn't that many games that
That's
were
true.
for play. It
You
wasn't a
weren't
huge
you weren't
focus.
gonna have too much back in those days.
Yeah.
I mean, Turtles in Time. I'm trying to think. I guess Turtles in Time would have been one of them.
Yeah, that was probably one of them. I bet you could connect that and play through that game 4 player.
Yeah. I mean, man, it really is kind of crazy, like how games have evolved since in terms of just being able to play with people. Like, obviously, the internet has made so much of a change for everything because it used to be you'd have to get friends to all come together and get a play date together, or it was usually once every few months because you get like a birthday party and you get a bunch of people together and you play stuff there. Maybe if you're lucky, you have like a friend nearby, they can come over. I used to live in a farm town, so it was really hard for me. So it was basically me and my brother for the longest time. And maybe
Yeah.
once in a blue moon, you'd be able to play with friends.
Yeah.
And now here
Even
we are,
just
like you just literally just hop in, and it's like it's nothing now.
yeah, it is. Like I remember when it was starting to become a thing, I remember playing Diablo 2 with a buddy. And it was no voice chat and stuff. It was only like typing chat, but you could connect over BattleNet. You'd find each other. You'd both be in the same game, and you could type in the chat, obviously, during the game. And I remember being blown away by that. Like, it was such a crazy concept that we ended up playing till like 8 a.m. one day. That typical, like, oh, the sun's up, time to stop playing games and go to bed.
Yeah, like you imagine
Um,
like early days of say like your EverQuest and World of Warcrafts.
yeah. Yeah, I remember like Final Fantasy 11, even that coming out on PS2, you had to buy an adapter and it had to plug in direct. And even then, it wasn't like necessarily great voice chat or anything. It was like you were hooking
Oh
up
yeah,
this whole
it was
system.
so archaic back then.
Yeah, but I mean, then the PS3, the Xbox 360 comes out, and it just normalized online gaming for multiple people.
Yeah, you get into the realm of voice chat now. I mean, obviously there were the old days on PC where you'd have like TeamSpeak,
Yeah, yeah, PC definitely would have had it probably first. But guaranteed it would have had it first.
and then
Yeah.
obviously as we've grown, you had Xbox Live where they had the party system. I think PlayStation I don't know if it was around the same time that they started doing that too. I assume it would have been.
On PS3, yeah. Oh yeah. It would play. I know it wasn't around right at the beginning, but it did show up at some point.
Mhm.
Yeah, Xbox definitely was a huge push. Xbox Live, I think, was probably one of the biggest online gaming communities kind of thing that was created. And when you think about it, like right before that, Xbox was like the LAN party console. Everybody would bring their freaking Xbox
I
and like all hook it
remember
up.
I remember days of 3 or 4 different Xboxes being brought in, and it's like 15 of us all in one guy's basement playing Halo.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think that like lugging around Xbox and stuff, but I also did the same thing for StarCraft with LAN parties back in the 90s. I remember building a computer, and like 90s computers weren't tiny. They were huge. And everybody would bring that to somebody's house. Everybody'd have to hook it up, plug into each other's computer using the Ethernet cables and everything. So you weren't obviously playing online, you were hooking up for that LAN party, and it was fun as hell. But oh my god, was it a lot of work and setup compared to just like, hey everyone, let's play N64 GoldenEye. What color do you want for your controller?
Yeah, I think that's probably like my earliest memory of multiplayer. Like obviously like GoldenEye, Super Smash,
Yeah.
Perfect Dark as well for the same kind of setup. Mario Kart I didn't ever own, so it was one of those rarities that back then that I would get to play. I actually probably played Super Mario Kart way more than Mario 64, even though I had both consoles. But whenever I used to go rent games, for some reason, Mario Kart 64 was always taken out.
Oh yeah.
So I
That
would
game
I would
was
almost never get to
yeah.
do it.
Yeah, that game was very popular. I played that a lot at my friend's house who owned it. Like it was just like, all right, there's a bunch of people here. Okay, let's all Mario Kart. Whether it was racing or even just those battles where it was just hit each other with shells for the hell of it.
That's an
Mine
interesting.
was fun.
That's an interesting question though. Like, what were your big like rental games growing up? Because
Rental?
because just
Oh,
to show our age, young fellas here. Back in the day, you used to have to go to a store, and you didn't always buy games. You could like just get a copy for like 2, 3, or 7 days,
oh yeah.
and then you had to
Actually,
bring it back.
yeah, yeah, dude. I remember a lot of rentals for the NES that when I was young, because we only had about 6 games, I think, that were purchased. And then it was like, why would we? My parents' thought was, why would we buy a game? We go to like Jumbo Video, Blockbuster, whatever it'd be called, and rent a game every weekend. It's like $3. Why buy a game? We can
Well, and
rent
back
so
then too,
many of
games were
these.
so expensive. Like they've always been $60 for such a long time. But obviously, if you do inflation, like games back in the NES era that were like $60 probably cost more like 100. I guess
Yeah,
if you put it to inflation. So
yeah. So all of a sudden, that 3.99 or 2.99 rental fee, it's like, no, that's good. I remember renting the original Rampage, the ape and
yeah, the
the
like
reptile.
like Godzilla, like King of the Monsters
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah. Just climb a building, punch it, eat the people in the window, and continue on with your day. That and Paperboy, believe it or not, I rented like probably 10 times each. Um,
Off the
yeah,
top of my head, definitely Final Fantasy 4 and 6 were the big ones on Super Nintendo era. Genesis, I'm trying to think. Fantasy Star 4 would have been one of them.
yep,
Oh, is there any other ones that not maybe not because Sonic wise, like I had 2 and 3, so I had my fix there.
yeah. Those were definitely a purchase for sure.
No, I'm not thinking Sonic very much. And then I'm thinking anything beyond that. PS2, well, PS1 and PS2 era is a little murkier because I started having income then, so it was a little bit easier.
Yeah, I actually remember when I had my N64, I was 16 and I was actually working for the first time, bagging groceries at a grocery store. Pretty stereotypical. Actually, no, I think I was 15 at the time, and I had a notebook that was just a list of N64 and PS1 games I wanted to buy, and each paycheck it was like, all right, which game am I getting towards? And it was like I worked to play games. It was insane. So that was around when the rentals fully stopped for me. I'd still go to Blockbuster and stuff. And it's funny you mentioned Final Fantasy IV and Fantasy Star 4. I rented Final Fantasy IV like 8 times in a row before eventually picking it up for real in like a little bit. Fantasy Star 4, I went to rent, and Blockbuster was selling a used copy for like $10. So I
And
was
you're like, well,
like,
that's easy.
I'm gonna pick that up because I saw it at EB Games or GameStop, and it was like $80 or whatever at the time, which for me was unaffordable. It's 1994. I'm 11, but I saw it for $10. I was like, Blockbuster doesn't know what it has. Even as an 11-year-old, I was like,
That was a
this
thing
is worth
too.
more.
so many stores didn't know the value of this stuff the way that
Yeah.
like no, it's really hard to find a good deal now if you go to like secondhand stores because they know exactly how much that thing's worth.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Everybody's gotten wise. But back then, the game rental stores and stuff, it was like, no one's really renting this one anymore. And we have a lot. So we'll just sell it off for cheap and get what money out of it we can in the end. And dang, like I would get some pretty sweet deals. So Fantasy Star 4 for $10. And I put way more than $10 worth of hours into that. Holy.
Yeah, the old day of like your thrifty looking like video rental stores and the Rogers Video, and then Blockbuster came in for the small amount of time it did before it went away.
Yeah.
The old days of Microplay, I think, was another big one.
Oh, Microplay. Oh, that was such a good one.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the other thing too. You don't see the stores anymore where you have like the little like ability, like you can play games in the store anymore. Like all that stuff's gone.
yeah. Yeah. It is fun. I do still love walking into the retro gaming stores, and every so often I go in and it's like, all right, what am I going to end up buying and walking out with? Because I don't have a lot of the consoles now, obviously. I've got all the modern consoles, and I just like the re-releases of the games. Kind of like the PlayStation Premium and all that kind of stuff. That'd be the preferred way for me, just because of the hookups and all that for the TVs. But I'm telling you, if I walk in there and there's like a PS2 with a couple games and it's like a decent like $30 or something, I'm walking out with that and I'm plugging it into something. I'll figure out how to plug it into my iPad. I don't care. I will make it happen.
I mean, I've considered getting a Retron 5 a couple of times, but every time I consider the idea, my brain goes, you know how much money you're gonna have to spend to get the collection you want?
Yes.
And every time I think that, I go, I can't.
Yeah, I
I
can't.
need I need to be making like double what I make to make this work.
Yeah, it's an expensive collection hobby. And I guess that's one of the arguments to be made of physical versus digital. Like, physical will probably hold that value depending on what you hold on to,
Yeah,
where digital,
but it's also if you can hold the space.
yes, also, yeah. I just remember having even DVD shelves of basically this stuff, and it's like,
Well, and it's also I've never been
yeah,
much of a collector to begin with. Like I actually, you guys can probably see it. Like literally on the bottom part of my shelf here, that's all the DVDs I own. That's it. It's like 10. It's nothing. And not even
yeah,
all of them are like actual like movie or anime DVDs. Some of them are just things from like college that I've kept. So like
yeah,
it's never been the thing that I've been too big on anyway. Physical copies of games is kind of similar. Like I have one bookcase that's for like every set of consoles that I ever have like kept. And then I have on this shelf here, I have my PS4 games, which is like again 10. And I think I have maybe in total like less than 100 total games in my shelves.
yeah, yeah.
It's just I've never kept a lot because I feel like a lot of the times when it comes to keeping things, like it has to have like actual value sentimentally to me. Like I don't
Yeah,
if I finish a game and 2 months later, like I'm not feeling like this game means that much to me, then it's gone. Like I'm not gonna play it again.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I would always have a collection, but then when it was time to upgrade to the newer system, like PS1 to PS2, PS2 to PS3 kind of thing, um, it was always the Final Fantasy games would carry forward. I'd hold on to them. I'd make sure I got the backwards compatible system, and then a lot of the other games would just kind of disappear. I'd sell them off to make money to to buy the newer system to make it as cheap as possible because of course it's like I'm a teenager in college, like what, my money ain't big, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
um yeah, and I'm sad though because I had all the Final Fantasies from PS1 on. I had like that collection version, and I could have held on to them, and I'd have all the way up to 12 basically on PS2. I'd have 13 as well. I bought that physically for PS3, but I'm not sad about not having that one.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is quite a lot of things. If I had the ability to keep, I could have definitely enjoyed. Like I said, I had a Genesis and a Super Nintendo and an N64, and all those are gone
Yeah.
because parents didn't think they were worthwhile. And generally speaking, my parents have never been very much into the idea of me gaming. It's that thing that every once in a blue moon I'll talk about games with my brother or at dinner when I'm at my folks, and they'll always be like, you still playing those things?" And every time I go, "Man, I hope I'm playing them till the day I fucking die."
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
man, it's like my last bastion of pissing you off now. Because it's like I don't get it. Like I hate the conversation starter, right? It's like what, like why do you play games? I'm like, I don't know. Why do you fucking still watch TV?
Yeah, like, do you watch movies? It's the same thing, just one's interactive.
It's
It's a
like,
form
why do
of
you watch the
entertainment.
fucking news?
Yeah, yeah. Why do you do
I'm
that?
getting a lot
What's
more
that one?
positive things out of fucking video games than I am watching the goddamn news, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
did you have that much of an like? Did your parents give two shits when you were a kid playing games, or were they just like whatever?
Oh, to this day, I still get asked when I'm gonna grow up. It's like, I'm 38. I'm set in my ways. Like, come
You
on.
almost want to say like, you know my career, you know what I do. I've got a house. I'm like I've got all this stuff in. But the one thing that's bothering you is the fact that I like to plug in a controller and play some beep boop games.
Yeah. Would it make you feel better if I sat there and mindlessly binged the Kardashians or something? Like, what would make you feel like I'm more normal?
It's always the misconception that we've always had with gaming, like that it's just this useless medium, and it's like these are the same people that sat in front of the television when they were a kid and their parents told them, "Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why are you watching this cartoon? That's for babies. Like, why?"
Yeah. Don't you know that that melts your brain? Like that kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
or
Yeah.
they're the ones that were going and getting fucking stoned at concerts all the time, and they're sitting there being a bunch of degenerates, and then they're looking at us and being like, it's the same thing. I'm like, you did so much stupid shit when you were a kid, but you're just assuming that you're different, right?
Yeah. Everybody thinks their version is better. And we're going to be the same way. I look at kids now and I'm like, you're wasting your mind with TikTok. Play more video games.
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid of what the thing's going to be that finally becomes like a major trend that sticks. Then I go, why are you doing that?
No.
Although I think out of anything, if you're talking the TikTok stuff, I think we have a little bit more ground because we actually have research that shows it's legitimately poisoning people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, even
Whereas
just
most
smartphones and
research with
stuff.
games saying that it causes violence, we know is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. No. No, the most you're going to get with video games is if somebody gets addicted to something very enjoyable like World of Warcraft and they just do it too often.
Yeah, which is like the same thing as so many other things. Like addictions aren't
As
free of anything.
literally anything. You can be addicted to eating. Like it's anything
It's
can be an
almost
addiction.
the interesting idea though of like what the next big thing is going to be because gaming like it used to be like I guess rock music would have been where it's kind of started,
Oh
and
yeah,
then you started seeing like horror movies making a real big run of it, like the slasher flicks, and then it kind of went back to music again when metal became really popular in the late 70s, early 80s. And then
absolutely.
pretty much since the 90s, it's been gaming and only gaming. Like, yeah, there's rap music littered all constantly throughout, or whatever like promiscuous like song is out there that's pissing off conservatives. But like, it's been video games as the de facto scapegoat for like a good 30 years now.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's funny you mention that because I'm watching, it's going to sound not related at first, but I'm watching season 4 of Stranger Things. And a big part of that is a real, like, this actually obviously is based in reality. Like, not Stranger Things, this one concept. And it was around 1985, 1986 when a lot of America was having an issue with Dungeons and Dragons
Yep.
because they believed it was like the devil's game and people were getting possessed and it
Well,
was
they thought
all
there
this
were like all
stuff.
these satanic orgies, and I'm like, you have no idea how like D&D players are the least likely to be participating in that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, they are there because they have nowhere else to be right now. But like, it's crazy because that was like gaming right before gaming. Like D
Yeah.
and D, the tabletop gaming was Final Fantasy on the table instead of on the TV, and people were getting like freaked out by it. And it's like, how? Like, how is this a thing? People were listening to Kiss and becoming like, it's satanic music. It's too
Well, you
sexual
had
or
like the
something. Like,
thing where like Judas Priest was taken to court because they thought if you played their album backwards, it was telling you to kill yourself.
yeah, what is wrong with people?
I mean,
Like,
you look at things today, it's worse.
yeah, way worse. I hear what they call music was so bad at back then. It's like, hey, I want to rock and roll all night. It's like, what? This is what the
Yeah, and yeah,
dangerous
you
music
listen to
was?
some of the hits from those days, like they're soft, like I guess not rock, but like I don't know, whatever was top 40. And there are some creepy fucking songs.
Yeah, that was worse. It
I'm
was,
gonna try to
uh,
find the title of it because it was from there was a documentary series called I think it was Metal Evolution,
hmm.
and it was like this 12-part series on like the different eras of heavy metal, and they started out with the first two episodes being about like pre-metal and how like when rock kind of died for a little bit, like it was the radio just suddenly switched to like your classic like 50s 60s like really slow like upbeat sounding stuff.
Hmm.
I think it was, yeah, it was called Venus by Frankie Avalon, and the opening lyrics are really fucking creepy. because the song starts with Venus, if you will, please send a little girl for me to thrill.
Jesus.
And this is 1960, but no, 25 years later, when all metal was doing was talking about being a bit rebellious and like kicking ass and maybe getting your dick wet once in a while. They were like, well, this is bad, but man, the Frankie Valli songs I like when I was a young pup, that was the real shit.
Yeah. Oh,
there is a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to that kind of scapegoating. I mean, not just for gaming, but for everything.
no,
It really
100%.
is just a thing of like, we are really like, I guess like our generation and maybe like a slight bit of the generation before us, or like the bastions of like the old guard when it was like an outcasted thing. Whereas now, if you're like a teenager, it's not an outcasted thing anymore. Like I remember, I was a nerd if I played video games, which is so insane to me thinking about just how everyone plays it now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like all of a sudden being a nerd is just the normal for everybody.
Well, I mean, yeah, nerd is literally where all the money comes from. Look at fucking Marvel movies.
Yeah, true.
Like here you are, like there were probably people our age, getting beat up for being liking comic books, and now here's every fucking girl that they liked growing up now cosplaying a Scarlet Witch or a Black Widow or anything else, and they're like, the fuck is this timeline? Where's the TVA to help me with this shit? Where's Owen Wilson?
Yeah, where's Owen Wilson specifically? Not even as Morbius or whatever, just as
Morbius.
Or not Morbius. What's his name in that show?
I don't remember now.
It's something like
if there was a name to him, I forgot, because all I can think of it's Loki and Owen Wilson. That's what I saw.
Yeah, that's true. It was hard not seeing Owen Wilson in that. Yeah, his name was something close to Morbius.
Well, let's see. I could thank God that we have these things called computers next to us. See, again, internet. Look at where we've come since 20 something years ago, right?
Yeah.
Oh, really? It was Mobius?
Mobius, not Morbius. Mobius. Yeah.
Okay, now I don't feel so bad for you saying Morbius.
Yeah. Because I knew it was so close, and obviously, it's Morbin time, so you got to throw.
Also, speaking of names, I'm still playing the Ninja Turtle video in the background, not on the video portion of the podcast, but it's still on my other monitor. It's Tempestra was the name of the girl that comes out of the arcade machine.
Yes.
So there, we got an answer 35 minutes later.
Yay, we did it.
Well, like it's definitely great to see like things being better. I mean, obviously now it's not that we're outcasting, or no, it's not that we're being outcasted. Now it seems more like we're outcasting, which is the different thing. It used to be that we were desperate for anybody to come in, and now it's the opposite. Now we're pushing people out because you're not everything we expect you to be, because you see like all the gatekeeping that happens here. I don't remember, like, do you remember a lot of gatekeeping with the older games? Because I don't, like, in the same way that we see it now, like, say the people that are like, oh, if you can't, play Elden Ring and not die, for at least the first, like, 10 bosses, you're not actually that good at the game, kind of like gatekeeping. I don't remember that too much. Because I think most of us realized we all sucked at games, because Punch-Out was really hard.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was just like, everybody would say the hard game was hard, and it was. And then if there was an easier game, someone would be like, oh, that was kind of hard. Someone would be like, no, it wasn't. I did it good. And then it's like, no, you didn't. It's like, okay, no, I didn't.
It is like another one of those weird things too. Like how many of like, because again, in our early era as kids, it's not to say that girls didn't play, but it was a lot harder to find girls that played, because it was definitely more of a boys' club back then. I mean, it still is, but for different reasons. But like, I do feel like when we were kids, it was not an open thing that girls played all the time. Generally speaking, if somebody was playing video games and talking about it at school, it was mostly dudes.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And now it's interesting because like we all grew up thinking like, we're teenagers being like, man, I wish we just had a couple of girls that would play this with us. That'd be so hot, or that'd be so cool. I mean, cool. I meant cool, not hot. as teenage, like perverted, like horny over the fucking top brain was going in hyperdrive every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes.
While you're popping like 20 zits an hour.
Yeah.
And then here we are now, and it's like anytime a girl even thinks about gaming, they're all like, oh, you're not a real gamer. Like, prove it. Do you remember this moment from hour 5 in the second game of the series?
Yeah, and then I have to ask myself if I know that moment in the game from the series.
Yeah, it's like shit. Put me in a friggin' trivia game, and I'll be sitting there being like, "Why can't I remember the name of the main character of this game?"
Is it
But
Morbius? No, it's Mobius.
That's less because I don't remember, and more just because I'm old and I'm forgetting things.
Yes, this is true. But also, like, yeah, it's stupid. Come on, like, even if people are casual gamers, or if they're not, like, ugh, just let people play games.
Well, it's like the idea of like bandwagoning and things like everybody's like, "Oh, you only care about it now because it's cool." I'm like, who fucking cares?
Yeah, the more people that care
That's
about
more
it, the
people
better.
you can talk about it with.
Yeah. Ugh, gamers, smarten up.
Yeah, you used back in the good old days.
Before TikTok.
Yeah,
See?
pre TikTok era, you know.
I
But
blame TikTok.
40 minutes into the show, speaking of we're old,
Uh-oh.
it's that time again, and the reason that we're doing it now is because there's quite a bit actually this week.
Oh, all right. I'm in.
So from the 19th to the 25th, so we'll start with obviously the 19th. We got 4 games on the list, well, 3 and an acquisition. One of them's
Okay.
pretty big deal, so we'll get to that in a second.
Right.
2 games in 2001. First one, I'm gonna actually stop doing original dates now when I say this because it's gonna take forever if I go through all that. We're gonna get to them all eventually anyway.
Yeah.
So again, if you're like, well, that's not the actual original date of it, I'll get to it when it gets to that date. This is a specific North American, European, or Japanese release. That's all it is.
Yeah,
Chill, you fucking gatekeepers.
Go watch your TikTok.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep throwing that out.
2001, first one, North American release for the PlayStation 2, NBA Street, aka the
Oh.
good old days of sports games that weren't just hyper realistic.
Yeah, arcadey style sports games. That was a fun
All of
one.
those games were great, like the NBA and FIFA Street. You also had NHL Hits back then, NFL Blitz, NBA Jam even as well, like back in those days too.
Yeah, such good games. Classics.
Because again, it was less about like, okay, how much like the real thing is, and more it's like, hey, how many stupid over the top moves can you do before you get one dunk?
Yeah, right?
You're just sitting there doing like, you're just like slapping taunts over and over, so you're doing like 20 things, and then finally going, shoot.
Oh god.
You're like doing Super Saiyan level speed moves, and then finally just one quick, and that's it. Other one in 2001, you'll definitely like this one. North American release for the Dreamcast, Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. That was quite different than Sonic Adventure 1, which was already quite different than every Sonic game before that. So this is when it was just like a roller coaster and you're kind of just on it to see where Sonic went.
Yeah, we aren't getting into the bad era yet, but
No, it's still good. It was still good and we were like, wow, Sonic's changing for the better.
All right, it's not like the greatest, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
And then like
Shadow's
another
a little
5-ish years later, it was like, oh no.
Oh no. I miss
why is he a werehog now?
Where's Shadow?
Yeah, you almost missed Shadow in a way.
Yeah.
Here's the acquisition in 2000. This is a pretty big deal. I mean, a lot of people that are Xbox gamers will think about this going forward. In 2000, a certain company by the name of Bungie was acquired by Microsoft.
Wow.
And that never led to any game that pretty much revolutionized an era. No, nothing happened to that.
That put Xbox on the map. That acquisition was very smart.
I'm trying to think, what did Bungie even do before that?
Probably some stuff that's like good but not.
Let's see here. Well, they
console.
were established in 91. Let's see. Operation Desert Storm for Mac. The Myth series that I don't remember. And there was a game called Oni that I do recognize the cover of, but I never played, that was on PS2.
Oh, okay.
But like, yeah, they didn't do anything crazy, and then all of a sudden they jump right into Halo. And you're just like, oh. I guess that's your thing now. And now here they are being a Sony-owned company as they produce Destiny.
Yeah. So confusing.
They've been owned by 3 different companies because they were part of Activision too.
Oh, right. They were. This is just a whole thing.
So it's kind of crazy, like how in really 22 years that company's been owned by 3 different places. Only has done 2 different series, but either way, like there's a lot of history behind that company regardless.
Yeah, and a lot of money.
Oh yeah, a lot of sales has been generated from that studio.
They are basically a printer, and there is money coming out of them.
Mm-hmm. And then last thing, we go way, way back to 1988. And we go to Japan for the Sega Master System, where Shinobi was released.
Oh, that game was hard too.
Yeah. Every time you play the Sega Classics collection, you're like, I like Streets of Rage, I like Sonic, I like Golden Axe, but fuck that Shinobi game.
I like the box art.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
all
much.
I'm gonna
Pretty much.
do.
You like the first 10 seconds of the game because you think it's cool, and then you start actually playing and you're like, this is really hard.
Why is everyone killing me?
Well, that's it for the 19th. We move on to the 20th, where it's JRPG Day. We have two
Ooh,
pretty epic JRPGs in their own separate parts. Pun intended for this first one that was released in 2002 in Japan for the PlayStation 2. The Dot Hack series began with Dot Hack Part 1 Infection.
right.
And that is a
Wow.
series that if you've ever played in full, props to you because it's hard. Not in,
Yeah,
not in difficulty, because it's literally the same game 4 times. And then they did it again with GU for 3 games. Like,
Yeah,
Dot
there's a
Hack
lot.
was such a cool concept because it was you playing a game within a game. Like, it was you playing someone playing an MMO, like getting stuck in one.
Yeah.
And that conceptually was so cool. And playing the game, because I've played the original, it's fun for about, let's say, 5 to 10 hours before you realize, oh, this is literally it. And it probably would have been better if it was turn-based, but because it's more an action RPG, it definitely can be a lot easier to fall into the part of it being boring and repetitive because it's just slap, 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 slap.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I actually never played the Dot Hack games. I was going to, and then I saw more was releasing. I'm like, I'm too far behind. I'll go back
They
later.
are
And
also
then I noticed.
expensive as fuck.
Oh, I had noticed some of those.
Let
at the
me
retro.
quickly check what all four of them are worth because it's pretty insane. Because it gets crazy. So I'm trying to see the order here. So it's the first 3 are not terrible. So normally it's 50 for the first, 60 for the second, 100 for the third, but the fourth and final one is $480.
Oh my god.
So if you ever wanted to
That's,
complete that series physically, good fucking luck.
yeah.
Hope you like using an entire paycheck for it.
Yeah, that's for wow. Oh my gosh. They better play it a lot.
Yeah, no
You can
shit.
get $480 worth, but you have to start now and keep going.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many games did you buy
forever.
for $500 on the Steam sale there, Chris?
Don't tell me. Don't remind me. Oh, I'll just exit this call and just go in the games into the store.
Well, not before I tell you the other game that was released on this, or not this day, but on the 20th of June in 1997, also in Japan for the PlayStation 1. You know this game very well, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh, it happened. That game is so beautiful. And like just it's so hard to get a re-release of. Like every Final Fantasy you can grab on almost any console except Tactics. Why do they hate it?
Because you figure with phones too, it'd be a like the most like easy thing to do.
Oh wait, I think it is on phones. Because they
Well,
had that
no,
like
I mean
PSP
like a
version.
brand new one, like actually like
Oh,
doing
a
an
brand new
original
one.
story.
Yeah, like where is Tactics Advance? Like where are these?
I mean, Fire Emblem's clearly shown there's a market.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
come on,
Square, it's not hard. You make a tactics game and then just waifu the fuck out of it. And you sell millions of copies. It's not hard. You throw you throw some tits on the screen and it's sold.
That is actually the strategy. That's the scary part, how easy that is on paper.
Like, come on.
Oh, I just bought 2 copies of this game that doesn't exist. I don't even know how.
I will eventually get into Three Houses. It's gonna happen.
You should. 3 Houses is fantastic. Fantastic.
Oh, finish what you were gonna say?
I just said it was fantastic.
Oh.
3 Houses.
See, fair enough. Fair enough. Moving on to the 21st, still one more JRPG. This was a European release in 2000 for the PlayStation 1, A Vagrant Story, which I have not played.
I've not played that one either. I always saw it and I was like, ooh, a Square game. I want it. And
Yeah,
then
it's like there's a bunch of that era that I never got to play. Like Parasite Eve, I'm still missing. I don't think is Xenogears Square or is that a different company?
Xenogears is Square.
So there was that as well.
Oh, you never played through Xenogears?
No, I've never played Xenogears.
Oh man, I'm telling you, that game is art.
Like man,
That is
there's a game that could use a remaster.
yeah.
I wouldn't even say
it.
I wouldn't even say remake because I don't know if the market would be there for a remake, but a remaster would be fine.
Yeah, just
Or you
like,
could put it on PlayStation Premium, fucking Sony. Jesus.
actually, I really want that because I bought Xenogears on PS3 when they're adding the PS1 games, and I think they said that if you already own the game digitally, you'll be able to already own it when they add it to premium. I don't know if that goes all the way back to PS3, but if it does, I already got Xenogears.
Yeah.
And I will be playing the fuck out of it.
I would love to, because I've never played it and I've heard so many good things about it.
It's so good.
Same with Legend of Dragoon. I've only played like a tiny bit of it, and I would love to play that.
I would love to replay that one. I did play through and beat it, but it was the one time, and I don't remember. I didn't go back because it wasn't re-released on every console afterwards, like Final Fantasy VII or something.
Mm. Other thing on this list, way all the way to 1985, it was a trend that we always put the random sports games from NES on there, so this is no different in Japan. Track and Field was released on NES.
Oh, the fact that they were ballsy enough back then to just be like, soccer! And it's like, yo, you just trademarked the word soccer.
Well, I mean, shit, like, you think of the games back then, like, there was just California Games, which was just, like, a collection of, like, there was skateboarding, and it was just,
Actually, no matter what I did, I fell. So mine went like, yeah, that sucked.
Moving on to the 22nd, we got 4 games here. I love a couple of these. 2001, this was a hidden gem for me back in the day. I think we've mentioned this before on the show, but if not, European release for the PlayStation 2. But yeah, 2001, The Bouncer.
Oh,
I fucking love that game.
No
jokes.
Too.
I love that game.
It's not even
That's another one I would love to see on the premium side. I would love to replay that game.
I'll replay with you if it comes out.
Also, really good soundtrack. Hidden gem of a soundtrack.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, that was such an interesting Square game that came out. It was like, wait, so where's the turn-based what now?
I'm not saying a lot of characters that I did in terms of like not just like role playing, like forums and creating characters. I'm not saying that, you know, Sion had a big part of why I had a lot of characters named Sion in my early teen days, but that might have had part of it.
That's definitely, yeah, I think it is.
Other game in 2001. This is also a European release for the Game Boy Advance, Super Mario Advance.
Oh yeah, I liked when they started putting those out. I finally beat Super Mario Brothers 3 because of that re-release on Game Boy Advance. One, because I actually replayed it as an adult where I was, well, like 20 something. And two, because it actually had a save feature where the original did not, and I would always die in World 8. So
it's interesting how these came out though, because like Super Mario Advance was Super Mario 2.
Yeah.
Which was interesting because like I'm looking at the list now. So they had 4 of them. Yeah. So the first one was Super Mario 2. The second one was Super Mario World. The third one was Yoshi's Island. And then the fourth one went all the way back to Super Mario 3.
Yeah. And none of them were Super Mario 1.
Yeah, it's weird.
So I had Super Mario.
I almost wonder like how they couldn't have just put Super Mario All-Stars on the Game Boy Advance. Clearly, it should have been able to handle that.
Yeah, they totally could have. It basically was a Super Nintendo in your hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just didn't want to because they realized they could sell it 4 times and people would buy it 4 times.
Naturally, yeah. And then the other 2 games on this list are both PC epics that people will remember. In 2000 for Windows North America, Deus Ex.
Oh yeah.
I still have yet to play that. I hope they remake the original. I would love to play the original, but I don't think I could do it in the original form now.
I'm pretty sure I own the original. I can't remember if I've played it or not. It's a good question. Huh.
And then the other one is 1996, also in North America, Quake.
Oh, yeah, no one's heard of that.
So 2 big juggernauts in the old PC era.
Oh yeah, that is huge.
And then we move on to the 23rd. We have Sonic Adventure 2 again, but this time it was a European and Japanese release, so the North American release was first.
Yeah, makes sense.
In 2000, we have 2 N64 games releasing. One in Japan, that's Excite Bike 64, which we've already talked about on this show.
Wow, yeah.
And then in North America, Mortal Kombat 4, which was the start of Mortal Kombat not being as good.
I remember playing that on a buddy's N64, and I was like, what is this?
If you want to see real comedy, check out Video Game Donkey's video on Mortal Kombat 4, because it shows just how bad some of the writing and cutscenes in that game are. It's so funny.
I'm doing that right after this podcast.
It's so bad, it's funny.
I miss him. I want to watch some of his videos, and that is a good one.
But speaking of the N64, in 1996, it released.
Oh.
So the console's Japanese release started. That launched with, to my knowledge from what I researched, Pilot Wing 64 and Super Mario 64 were the big launch games.
They were the only 2 launch games in North America. I know that. Because my buddy got one on launch day. We skipped school to go pick it up. And it was the only 2 games you could get, and he got both. and I wondered where he got all this freaking money because we were like 13.
And then last but not least, again, a game probably nobody's ever heard of, but for the Sega Genesis, North America and Europe, just Sonic the Hedgehog,
Jeez. I love Sonic. I love you. I love you.
Side note, I just recently watched the newest movie, and my God, was it good.
Fantastic. I saw it in theaters with my nephew. I mean, it blew his mind. It was his first movie theater experience in his whole life. And what a perfect movie for that. Because even I was like, this is so good.
Like so the final boss, like this isn't really that big a spoiler, but the final boss being the big Sonic 2 final boss, like the big like death egg.
Yeah, but
and then the fact that the coffee shop is called Mean Bean, oh, I was so happy.
There's so many references and stuff, right? It's so good.
I was just waiting for them to travel to another town called Emerald Hill.
Yeah, that's right, because it's Green Hill. Yeah. Oh, it would have been so good.
We go to the 24th now, which there are 7 games. It's quite a few.
All right.
So, starting off in 2002, North American release for the GameCube. A lot of horror fans will definitely remember this one. Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem.
Ooh, I haven't played that.
I have been told, do not play if you don't want nightmares.
Yeah, I don't.
Because that game is one that fucks with you to the point that it does things like fake overwrites your save or deletes your saves like on screen, so it looks like things are going wrong.
That's fantastic.
So it's horror in 2 different ways. It's actually scary and then also fucks with you in terms of like the tech you run.
Yeah, I don't.
I think it might actually like do a blue screen if your sanity is really low.
Holy fuck. So it's fucking with you.
Yeah, it's getting you like scared but also like fucking fuming. Like it's really putting you on edge, and it does a great job of that from what I understand.
Wow. That's insane.
The other one, again, maybe you haven't heard of the game specifically, but you've definitely heard of what it comes from. So a PC released in 2002 in North America, the first instance, to my knowledge, of a Magic the Gathering online application.
Wow. That is a big deal because that shit prints money too.
It definitely does now, that's for sure.
Yeah, to take Magic and make it digital, yeah, that's just another way to.
Because I remember like obviously the Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy Color. Yeah. And then I played the shit out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was it Worldwide Duelist or something that was on the Game Boy Advance that had Worldwide in the name of it? And I played the fuck out of that, also with cheat codes because I didn't want to have to grind all the cards out. Let's see. 3 games in 99. So the first one, Japanese release back in the Jrpg era of Grandia.
Oh, I'm playing through that right now.
I have not played that series either. That's something that I want to get to at some point.
Oh, Grandia 2, fantastic game. I hadn't played 1 before, but there's an HD collection on Steam and Switch, and actually I think everywhere. If you get your hands on it, like, give it a go. It is pure JRPG PS1 era goodness. Mm-hmm. Like, exactly what you'd want.
Also in 99, Japanese release as well for the PlayStation 1. Little known title, Metal Gear Solid.
Ooh. Wow, this is a good week.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, this would have been E3 week for a lot of this stuff, too. Not E3 week, but E3 month. Like, crazy timing.
And also in 99 for the PC in North America, we got Worms Armageddon.
Oh, fucking Worms.
1998, Mortal Kombat 4 had its PS1 release. Mm-hmm. And then, last but not least, European release in 97 on the N64 was Mario Kart 64.
Really good week. Wow.
And then to cap it all off, we have today, the 25th. 2 games. I don't know if either of them... Actually, I think one of them is probably original release. Or I guess technically no, because it's a re-release. Because Street Fighter likes to do that. But we'll start with the first one. In North America in 1998, the PC release of Final Fantasy VII.
Well, I had that.
Specifically, do you remember how many discs the PC was? Was it different compared to the 3 on PlayStation?
It was multiple discs. But I didn't get very far because I didn't know the concept of RAM when that came out. And I bought the game at GameStop, installed it. I would be in the bombing mission, and then the screen would start freezing because it ran out of RAM space. Because it needed like...
Yeah, you kind of didn't know the whole thing that, when you buy it for a console, it's specifically made for that console.
Yeah, I did not know. So I was trying to play it because I didn't have the PS1. I had Super Nintendo, and all of a sudden Final Fantasy VII was on PS1. I was like, oh, it's on PC. We have that because we use it to talk on AOL Canada and stuff. And yeah,
MSN
sure enough,
Messenger.
MSN Messenger.
Actually, back then it wouldn't have been
No,
that.
there wouldn't have been.
You
No,
would
it
have
was
been you would have been
ICQ.
playing games on like Yahoo.
Yeah, it was AOL, Yahoo, and ICQ was getting started.
You were looking up answers on Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, Ask Jeeves, yeah. But yeah, so
On
I
a
actually
Netscape Navigator.
Netscape, yeah. I was actually able to return it though to GameStop for store credit, which a little bit later you couldn't do that. They got wise that no, you can just copy these. Like I shouldn't have been able to return it, but I guess they saw an idiot 13-year-old trying to install this on the computer, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this kid. Fine, here's your money back or gift card, I think."
And then last but not least, Japanese release in 1994 for the Genesis and Super Nintendo, Super Street Fighter 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that's the one I had played on Super Nintendo.
Trying to remember what was specific about that one.
Or was it Tournament Edition? There's so many editions of that game, I can't tell which one I played.
That one specific. Oh, there we go. So it was adding T-Hawk, Fei Long, DJ, and Cammy, which definitely had the mainstay compared to the other three.
Yeah, Cammy is.
I can't imagine why.
Her dialogue.
Yes.
In the Super Nintendo edition.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's her story.
That's what it was.
Everybody liked her story. It was a really good one.
But that is this week in We're Old.
Oh, I feel so old now. Oh, why me?
Now?
Yeah, I know, right?
You say this every week.
I know, and it's just getting worse. Why do we play this game?
Because it's
But
fun.
I like it. I like learning it. I like reliving it.
Yeah, because you gotta have that moment of like, holy shit, that game's over 25 years old. Shit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But yeah, we are an hour in. That sounds like a good place to stop. So thank you so much for checking out this episode of Cartridge Quarters. If you like this, thank you very much for checking us out. Obviously, follow us at all of our socials, which you can check out at our link tree. If you're watching on video, you can see that right there at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. But otherwise, you can go to linktree/pixelplaypodcast. That is linktr.ee/pixelplaypodcast. That's where you can find all our social media. Link to our Discord, which you should check out. Link to where you can find all of our podcasts. Link to our email if you want to ask us questions. All of the above. Everything that you need to know is there. But yeah, that's going to do it for this show. Next week, I don't know what's going to happen. Retro News is weird. Like, there are moments where, like, everything happens, and then there are just going to be dead weeks because really it's 20-year-old games. You're not going to have that much to talk about all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
The beauty of it is, though, since we're all really, really old, we forget the things we talked about. So, you just say the same 5 things over and over again, and it pretty much applies.
We actually only have 5 episodes. We just keep redoing the same concept.
Yeah. That sounds like a retro show to me.
It does. That is.
But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for checking out the show. We'll see you guys next week. 10 a.m. is always the release date here on Saturdays. If you want to check out our more present-day news show, the Pixel Play Podcast, that is every Wednesday at noon. That is Eastern, by the way. Inhale badly. Oh, God.
Good job.
I was so close.
So close.
And I took one inhale, and I just went, and lungs went, nope.
Air bad.
So thank you for checking out the show. I'm going to go die and cough up a lung right now, but otherwise, we will see you on the next show. So have a good one. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody.